Stay there. I'm just going to get closer. Yeah.
Well, they reckon it's there.
Right, should we start? So collectively, what first of all, Victor, what drew you to this particular play? Perhaps you can explain the genus behind it.
Pretty brutal.
You know, I told them prank is war. Poetry, freedom, and you know, it's difficult because David never do mainstream. I never did mainstream since my Virgin directing experience in Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
What I like with work with David, work freedom.
Yes.
For me, it is freedom. Main thing, personal freedom, and it is not easy, really. It's not easy. Ask them. But for me personally, this is my life. I'm free.
Mm.
I'm free with people like David. Over 40 years on the stage.
Yes. Is this your first absurdist play?
You know, we have these labels. I love Beckett, absurd theater. I love Dada. I love surrealism, whatever, but it doesn't matter because it's just labels. Theater has to be unusual. One of great director, every time before they start new play, ask his cast, ladies and gentlemen, how we can surprise our audience. Doesn't matter to do Shakespeare, David Parry, Jean-Paul Sartre, or whatever. So we have to entertain them. In the same time, we have to knock them from their perches.
And with regard to the video footage, what shaped your choice of video footage that you used?
David inspired me. I just read and reread his poetry, and I just thought about what can be inside his mind. It is not easy to to jump to mind of the poet. Very difficult. Very difficult. I just try.
And congratulations to you all on your performances. But perhaps you'd like to answer me in turn. Sort of, what were the challenges and what were the pleasures of appearing in this particular play? Perhaps you'd like to go first. Yeah.
I think I have no choice. Well, for me, definitely the language is a challenge, especially it's my second language.
Right.
And David's vocabulary is quite rich, so I always enrich my vocabulary by several words per play. I have to check them. Yeah. Google Translate.
Kazakh one.
Kazakh one. Yes.
I couldn't resist the Kazakh one. Sorry.
Yes. But it's always a lot of fun, and yeah, it gives a lot of field for experiment, like Victor said. And
Absolutely.
David always seems to be so open and happy, and it's just it feels we can really push it far. Because, for example, when I first read the script of this play, I absolutely did not imagine that this is how it was going to go.
No.
So after we met the first time and we discussed characters and which direction we want to push it, I was like, oh wow, that's something completely different, something I would never think of by just reading the script, but that's a combination. It's Victor who likes to push things far as well.
Yes.
And so do I, and I think everybody in the cast is really open.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Did you think it was going to be a far darker play when you originally came across it? Because it's a very optimistic play in many ways, isn't it?
I wasn't thinking about it deeply, to be honest.
Yes. And the thoughts from the others here. I know that you've appeared in David's plays before, but what was particularly challenging about this one?
Probably trying to strike up the balance between the real aspect of it and not keeping the character real or grounded, but the circumstances around it are quite absurd. Some of the action that goes on, so finding the deep down the real character, not characterizing it too much or doing it too caricatured, trying to ground it in a bit of reality, because there the absurdism comes through rather than acting it absurd. You keep the character real, so it's trying to just basically ground him in how the character comes in real life, I suppose, to a certain extent.
Yes. And certainly it was unusual that Albert Schweitzer's character was in this. I mean, was it sort of based around Schweitzer himself, or was it just is he just a character in this?
I'd say yeah, it's probably his operation, and I'm here to I'm sent out because in that period the BBC, they build the characters up to just knock them down, and he's come in to totally do away with this guy Albert Schweitzer, but he actually comes to quite like him. So I think he's sort of reluctant, but his job's a journalist, so he wants to write his story. That's what his life is.
Yeah.
That's how he gets his meaning, his validation in life through his work. That's what validates him as a person. But he actually comes to quite like him, and then obviously we've changed the plot a little bit, where we've mixed it up and
because
added different
it is
bits.
a prank.
So we've got extra motivations behind why he's doing it, and there's the sex, the power, the money that sort of comes in and alters his, because we don't know what really happened and why he didn't publish this, but Victor's interpretation of it's sort of brings into question.
Crazy.
Yeah, no. It brings into question the motivations behind why people do why they do what they do.
Well, he was a real polymath. I mean, obviously he was a great, as you say, Bach interpreter and so forth as well, which also comes through in the play.
Yeah.
You come away quite like him, actually, don't you, despite the colonial aspect to his writings and so forth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And how did you find appearing in this?
For challenges, I would say more or less the same things that have already been mentioned. But in terms of what I've liked about it, the creative freedom that we kind of had to experiment with different things, and being able to improvise a bit as well.
Oh, you were allowed to improvise, but yeah.
Well, or at least I took that on board.
Did you all improvise to some extent?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent with sort of the characterization, where we make it so that different moments, not always the
Compare
same.
with previous David play,
Yeah.
quite a change.
Yeah, that as well, and there was just a pleasure in I would say it's the freedom overall as the general word. It's the freedom of creative freedom that was available in performing this.
Which is quite unusual, I think. Yes.
It can be sometimes. Yeah, you're not allowed too much, whereas here I feel like you're allowed a good amount. If you come up with things, everything was taken on board, and whether it was a yes or a no or a maybe, that comes later, but just the fact that you're able to just offer ideas, it's not always like that.
Yeah, it's certainly not always like that, and it shows the democratic approach from Victor and also from David himself. And how did you find it?
Yes.
I know that you've been in David's plays before, haven't you?
Yeah, we all were actually. In
Yeah.
the previous play.
Then I must have seen you all at some point.
Yeah, they're quite different, but there are some threads in all of them that are similar, like this sort of, I would say the surrealism, there's absurd elements, but they have been quite different. I think for me in this, like Helene, the women at the time, I think it's interesting because with Albert, he was obviously, extremely famous for his work, but they were, as a couple, they did everything together. Helene, the wife, was very accomplished herself, but was probably somewhat in his shadow.
Yes.
Of course. And I don't think, it's not that she minded, but I think it was, she had a lot of authority, I think, and a lot of influence, of course. And I think it was interesting about her status and her need to accept, the sort of relationship with the nurse and various indiscretions. I think some of it is taken, in real life, that there were certain things that happened, but we don't know all of it.
No, of course not.
There's a lot of
yes.
creative license that's gone on, I think, Victor,
Yes.
Of course, but I think that's interesting because, it's imagining perhaps some of what went on, and I think there was, they did lead a fairly independent life, but they were very much a couple. So I think it was interesting to play that sort of, there's absolute devotion, and of course her skills were incredible. She was also, trained as a, medical and it just, linguist, all these things, and she understands him, and I think that's an interesting thing because that can be for any time in history, and even now. So there's certain things that kind of run through that are true of any time, but I think there were some things that were very specific of that era. So a lot of it was about keeping faith, and then the fear of change, because the things were changing, and I think she, was the one that was really like, well, hang on a minute, we did all this, we've done this incredible work, and you're just trying to, it's going to move on the world and not recognise or let us carry on doing what we're doing. I think there was a fear there. So anyway, that was interesting because beneath all the absurdism and all the surreal and the extra outsize syringe and
yes.
obviously that kind of that's the absurd side, but actually it's a lot of real. I felt that this was very kind of real, and I think it was important to play it like that because at first we were sort of playing around with it and it was kind of like, is this like a farce?
Yeah.
But it's not a farce as such. So this is the fine line, I think.
So did you actually study about her and read about her life?
I think when I do any kind of play, it doesn't matter what it's going to be, and if it's a real character, then and even if we're not playing it literally or whatever, I absolutely will read everything that I can on myself, on it, what actually happened.
Yes.
Because it gives you this kind of And you just let it sink in, and you may or may not use any of it, but it's important to do that. It's like a homework. And I think, and if it wasn't like in other plays that we've done, where it's not a real character, person life, yeah, you create a biography of them. You know, it's not there in the script always, but you have to find it.
Yes, exactly.
And create it so it becomes a real person with a real history. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that.
Yes, and that's the grounding, as you say, in reality.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got to, I think, despite whatever genre you do, you still need to do that kind of that work.
Even if you disregard it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it goes in there somewhere,
Mm.
and the point is, whatever work you do like that, it goes into the general sort of fabric of the person that you're now playing, and it becomes more real that way.
Great. Well, thank you very much to all of you. My congratulations. What are the next plans for the play? When will it next appear?
Camden Fringe, was it? Camden Fringe?
Okay, to finish with this very intellectual. Okay, so I'm very practical one, and I'm very happy what my fantastic cast done for this preview, and I hope we will tackle another 2 pranks from David for August. So this is our next plan, and to make it even more outrageous,
Great.
more controversial, and I think guys are very fit to do it. And what I can say, unfortunately, I'm on a British Fringe, not just London, British Fringe, since '92. And unfortunately, Fringe started to deteriorate to amateur stand-up. What a shame. Plays like David, experimental stuff, it was core of the Fringe, what was created in King's Head. I was very happy to work with one of the creator of King's Head.
The Don Ma did incredible work.
Yeah. So, silly, but we have to stand for experiment. And what I'm happy, okay, I'm not very young, but I have young people around me who perform this thing. So this is hope for the Fringe.
Absolutely, yes.
This is what I'm happy with.
So you're going to do 3 act play in August, is that?
July time.
Yeah.
Yes, and in August it will be even more. Boom.
Excellent.
And again, you know, whatever happens, we will play rock and roll even sitting in wheelchairs. So these guys do Fringe live. Fringe, it is not just experimental kitchen. No, it is what we can do, not like something what never happens in West End. No.
No.
Fringe, it is like when West End thinks, oh fuck, what they've done.
Yeah, make people sit
This
up.
is belong to writers like David and to actors like my cast.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. And thanks for a great evening to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a lovely speech, Victor.
Yes, I think we all.